because that's a familiar theme song that issues in our friend from the left coast of the United States. Mr. Michael Snyder is going to talk to us about movies. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Alex, and hello, listeners, and everybody around the globe who's tapping into what we're doing. And yeah, it's movie time, and let's get down to it. First, a quick note: Detroit, which I reviewed last week and loved, a really fine ensemble drama set in the summer of '67 in the city of Detroit, when race relations were at a low. Is opening wide this weekend, and I highly recommend it. But let's move on to what's new, and let's start with The Dark Tower. Clumsy, flat, addled, unclear about the world or worlds it depicts. It's a single film adaptation of at least a few books in Stephen King's 8-novel Dark Tower series, which is fantasy, sci-fi, horror. It's a mishmash, and it's also, well-loved and well-respected. But this movie is a clunker and a bore and noisy and encumbered by poor dialogue and half-assed performances, probably in part due to the scattered second-rate script that tries to compress detailed novel after novel into 90 minutes. You've heard of short and sweet. This is short and sour. It just never congeals. So what's the movie about? Well, no less than the ultimate battle between good and evil, with Idris Elba as the good guy gunslinger and Matthew McConaughey on the other side as the bad guy man in black, your basic urbane devil with a drawl. I'm not going to say that either of the guys phoned it in, but, the line was busy, I guess. When that's the subject, by the way, good versus evil, and those are your lead actors, and the result is boring, I mean, you've seriously screwed up. Basically, the man in black is trying to destroy the Dark Tower at the center of the universe, and only the mind of a special child connected to some brain-drained super science machine can do the trick. And the only child who has enough juice, or what they call shine, is Jake, who is a disturbed kid from New York City, played by the earnest Tom Taylor. I mean, it's not his fault. The movie just sucks, and they've gone ahead and greenlit a Dark Tower TV series anyway. They must have known the movie was bad, but they finally pulled the trigger on doing this Dark Tower show. And even if this movie tanks, and it should, I can't imagine a TV series being worse. I mean, it has to be better, but I'll have to be convinced before I waste any time on it. It's nice to see Catherine Winnick in modern clothes in a modern setting. I know her from TV's Vikings. She's a looker. Here she plays Jake's mom. Too bad for her. Too bad for us. The Dark Tower. Forget about it. Kidnap. It's actually a better bet. I thought it was going to be Nap Time, not Kidnap. Halle Berry would be in a by-the-numbers thriller about a mother moving heaven and earth to get her kidnapped child back from the scum who stole the boy. And yeah, that's really what it is. But I was surprised. I was dreading it, but it was kind of hella better than I expected. At 81 minutes, it was lean and mean. It was tightly directed. Berry commits, and the villains are pretty monstrous. The setting is New Orleans, and a struggling single mom and waitress, Carla, is dealing with a heartbreaking situation. Her well-off ex-husband is trying to gain primary custody of their young son. So mother and son go to a fair in a local park where someone makes off with the kid. And rather than wait for the cops, Carla sets off after the kidnappers. And then it's a chase, and it's kind of a cool chase. And again, kind of lean and crackling as it goes. And she's, freaking out. Louis Prieto is the director. Someone named Nat Lee was the writer. I don't know who these people are, but they made a kind of a fun B movie that you could watch on a Saturday afternoon and not feel bad about. It's junk, but it's good junk. I thought Kidnap was a lot of fun, and I was shocked that it was any good at all. Now, a movie I can recommend wholeheartedly is Wind River. Hawkeye and the Scarlet Witch team up for a damned fine noirish mystery thriller set on an Indian reservation in the chill of winter. It's a contemporary film, and we see how bad things are. Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. I meant Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen. That's right. They team up here in Wind River, and they do a lot more than deal with IMAX CGI-fueled superheroics as they do in the Avengers films. This is, a good drama, and it's also got a bit of a heart to it as well. There's violence, twists, turns, and attention paid to the tragic social and economic crippling of a minority, the Native American population. The folks who were here on North America before the European explorers and emigres showed up and built skyscrapers are basically still screwed in modern-day America. Anyway, a woman dies on the reservation, and a local guy who works for the Forest Service has to team up with a fledgling FBI agent to crack the case. That would be Renner's character and Olsen's character. His marriage to a Native American woman crashed and burned when their own child reached a tragic end, so he's got one foot in the reservation community due to his personal tragedy and relationship, which raises the stakes. There are great supporting performances. There is the shocking thing here, of course, is Jeremy Renner gives weight to this character he plays, Corey, and Elizabeth Olsen, doesn't strike me as feckless in this. She pays off as an FBI agent. You kind of think, nah, a little too glamorous, cute, but it definitely works. The director and writer, Taylor Sheridan, is to be commended. Wind River worked for me on many, many levels. And, I like noir anyway, and this actually fits the bill, even though it's an uncommon situation. Columbus was also a bit of a surprise and might not be to everyone's taste. If you're enamored with the beauty of modernist architecture and interested in how family culture and life's little surprises can impact relationships, this tender and intimate drama is a treat. Columbus stars John Cho as Jin. He's the Americanized son of a Korean architecture scholar, and when his dad gets sick while he's visiting Columbus, Indiana, where, the architecture is out of control, he leaves Seoul, where he works as a translator, and heads to this college town. And there, Jin meets and connects with a young woman in her early 20s, Casey, who's an architecture fan and a local librarian. She's played by Haley Lou Richardson, a young woman who was in a very cool film called Edge of 17, and she's terrific. Like Jin, Casey has a parent with a problem, and her mom is played by Michelle Forbes and is a recovering drug addict. Jin hasn't been in touch with his father in a while. I mean, the result is not quite a love story as these two people, Jin and Casey, interact. And rather than being a conventional romance, it's about two people who get to know one another through smart, heartfelt, and kind of touching conversation as they wander through this town with its many cool buildings and reflect on life and family, and particularly the power of architecture. It's not quite My Dinner with Andre, but it's probably been that long since I saw a film that was so fascinating and affecting when driven by conversation. Rory Culkin and Parker Posey are also on board as respectively Casey's and Jin's confidants and the people who are the more likely love interests. I mean, Columbus is gentle, it's little, but it's a movie with subtle rewards, and after a very tentative beginning, it drew me in big time. It's also the first feature film from Kogonada, a Korean-American writer-director and renowned video essayist on the subject of cinema. I look forward to his next film. Are you seeing anything lately you like, buddy?
Well, we've been watching The Last Tycoon on Amazon, and I like it, but what bothers me, I suppose, is that they're rewriting Fitzgerald to make it into a series and with sub-stories and stuff like that. And since the original book was based upon Irving Thalberg, at least he was supposed to be the prototype for the main character. In this film, you actually see Thalberg in this video, in this series, and he dies. No surprise. And I don't think Thalberg ever appeared in a Romana Clef about Thalberg. I mean, I never read The Last Tycoon, but I can't imagine that if Scott Fitzgerald were alive, he'd really be very happy with this series.
Well, then you're really going to be angry. They're making the not-so-great Gatsby. That's their next big series. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, this is a show that also features Kelsey Grammer as the studio head, where the young up-and-comer played by Matt Bomer is actually making a name for himself. And Lily Collins is the ingenue, the daughter of the studio head. You know, she's Phil Collins' kid. She's got those eyebrows. You know what? It's okay. I've been watching it myself.
Yeah, it's all right. It's for what, if you take it for itself, it's fine. If you take it as a recreation of F. Scott Fitzgerald, it's a complete failure. You know.
Ooh, well, okay, I wouldn't go that far, but it's worth a look. I guess that's it. Hopefully, we'll be back next week. In the meantime, you can check me out on Twitter at Culture Blaster and on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page. And back to you, buddy.
Oh, thank you very much, Michael, and thank you very much for your studious work. We'll see you again next week. In the meantime, there's more GABNet coming right up, so don't you go away.